Now they're quiet. They were raising the roof. They're raising heck, man. Because they're hardcore crappie fishing. Yeah, that's right. Here we are. We are on to another show. And just like what we've been talking about, what do you drink? What do you drink? What do you drink? What do I drink when we're out fishing? No one knows. And that's what happens with these crappie in post spawn. What happens?
Boom. They leave.
They leave. And where do they go? Let's find out. Where do they go? Where do they go?
Well, they don't go too far right off the bat. They just move from their spawning area. And as the water gets up into 65, 70 degrees, they leave that, start to leave that shallow water. The big fish will. And they'll get back out and stage in that 10, 12, 15 foot out there at the edge of the channel.
And this is before post spawn. This is before the Thermalcline sets up.
Yes, and that's before Thermalcline comes in, and you'll catch them for about a month and a half in that 15, 18 foot.
Right.
And then as the Thermalcline sets in and it gets hotter in the summer, and then they'll move on out there and in that 20, 25 foot, but they won't be any closer than about 5 foot. They'll be about 5 foot above it.
Yeah.
The Thermalcline when that starts.
So what are you going to do to catch fish during the post spawn? What technique are you going to use?
Well, I do the same thing I kind of do before, and I'll explain that. Before the spawn, they'll come up the rivers. I still firm believer they migrate from the main lake. A lot of these big fish do, and then they do their thing, and they'll stage in pre-spawn on the flats and the river channels.
Right.
And they'll do their thing, and then they'll stage again in the river channels, and then they'll start filtering back out. You'll still have your local fish that live in the river all the time, but all your big 12 to 14 to 16 fish are headed back down lake, and that's a lot of times when everybody's picking up crankbaits, and then they'll go back down Lake Ybor, and they'll start staging on every pole timber all the way down to Highway 12 bridge is where I'll find them, and they'll stack on that pole timber in that 20 to 25 foot of water, sometimes 15 foot, depending on the Thermalcline and the heat and the boat traffic.
Yep.
And that's what I'll do. I'll go to pole timber late in the year. Okay. Probably that May, June, July.
Yeah.
Is pole timber time for me.
How about you, Lance? What happens during that post spawn time? And you're actually like spider rigging.
You'll move down. You'll move down late.
I'll move down at some point, but I mean, usually it's late.
Probably close to June by the time you move down.
Yeah, usually, yeah. I mean, that, like what you said, that whole 1 month and a half, I'll kind of stay in the same area, but then it they start to move, like heading back to Hickory.
A lot of that, a lot of that holding too is it really depends a lot up on our lake level.
Yeah,
right.
And where our lake setting and lake water level, and boat traffic.
Yeah,
this water will get hot. If it stays low like this up here in the river.
Yeah. If it stays low, this water will reach 90 degrees by end of July.
Yeah.
And where over the last 7-8 years, it's August before we even see 80 because we've had so high water. Yeah. So and it's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of trolling in the summer. And in the post spawn, trolling's one of my favorite ways to catch them. And over the last 6-7 years, it's almost been like I have totally had to redirect and train myself for how to catch them versus what we do when the lake's down at the level that we are today.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're telling what the fish are doing by what they look like. If they're spawning, if they're post spawn, and they're thinner crappie that are coming out, that's what you're catching.
Yeah, most of them are going to be either real thinned out. I mean, some of them don't even spawn. They just, here past years, some of them still keep their eggs in them. You know, they still.
Yeah.
have
Well, I
pretty
think
good bellies
they
on them, too.
always absorb all their.
They
eggs. They don't
reabsorb them.
release all their eggs, do they?
Not all of them.
No,
There'll still
no.
be a little bit
That's what I
left.
say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of big fish,
That
that do
they'll-
not spawn at all.
Yeah, and they
they'll keep
absorb those
that.
eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
regardless.
reabsorb them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's
but
a sad
yeah.
thing too, because they'll be like tennis ball of eggs in there, and they never spawn. It's just I don't know why. I guess they're picky or they're just old and they don't care about it no more.
So post spawn, are you going to bigger baits, bigger minnows, or not? I know we've talked about minnow size and you.
I'll go to. I actually do a squirrel tail jig in the post spawn. Kind of mimics a mayfly. But I still tip it with a minnow. My minnow size never. I mean, it's still
Like them small.
So I still like them small. 2 inch or inch and a half. I don't ever really change the minnow size on it. Yeah, about the only time I really late July usually I'll go real small.
Yeah.
Minnow size, but
Yeah, we're still worried about that period of time where they're shifting and they're moving around because anglers have such a hard time like doing it. And when you're fishing, you're not going into the brush piles.
I'm catching roamer, and I'm just. I mean, actually, the post spawn has become my favorite time of year to fish. I mean, the past
breaking news. Breaking news.
I mean, I like it when it gets cold, but here the past 3-4 years, I look forward to June, late May, June. I look forward.
I
to
love
it.
June.
I mean, Greg's gone with me. And I mean, and it's just you go. I mean, it was July 4th weekend. We went. We launched at 8:30, and I mean, we launched at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're pulling out at 8:30, 9 o'clock to eat breakfast. I mean, that's how it was. I mean, when it was really good. I mean, 7:30, I'm pulling up, and here comes guys pulling their crankbait, still working on their limit, and I'm done. It just makes for, I don't know, it's just incredible. And I think a lot has to do also that rig and bite, you got to go early because I think they start moving out deeper and they'll go deeper and they want it faster.
The air temperature cools down
faster.
a little bit at night, so they come shallower.
Yeah,
and
then they want it
feed
faster,
and
I don't move that fast.
And they're leaving that feeding going back to them.
What gets me is summer fish will literally starve to death.
Yeah,
They will starve themselves to death.
And I think that's what it is. That they come out and they just
oh my gosh, something to eat.
They're just gorging. I mean, literally, what's cool is I remember Mike Jones, bass fisher Mike Jones. We did it several times, and I never really did this. I mean, you would see the crop. Usually the ones that swim away.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna chase it. They're swimming away from us. But I would actually punch my boat up to 1 mile an hour, chase that fish down, and pendle my bait, my minnows over it. I just was just like, I want to see if he does this, and that's how hungry they get. I mean, you're going 1 mile an hour, and you're pinning your bait's all the way back here, but then I'll start to slow down as I come up on them, and then it'll pendle them over. We did that. We caught probably 10 of our fish just by chasing them down because they were just that hungry. Yeah, and it's just fun. I mean, I don't know.
I'll downsize to an itty bit with a split shot and 4 to 6 pound test.
Yeah,
because I'll throw a big bait, and it's like they haven't eaten so long they don't feel like they can handle or something. They don't want to eat a big bait. And I'll throw that little you throw it out there, and you got to let it sink 20 feet. And once it gets down there, you'll see 5 or 6 leave the tree. And they'll fight over it.
I mean, it's fun.
What would you say the date is if you had to say a date? When do you think that the majority of the crappie spawn on Beaver Lake?
I think most of it's always over by the end of April.
It's going to be April. It's going to be right at April. They'll be almost done.
Then you get that little 2-week lull. It's like that first. It's like the first 2 weeks of May. You're really having to search for fish. I won't even try to book people in that month. First 2 weeks. You get
a kind of like a first wave of a spawn,
and
a lot of times that could even be in the end of March.
Yeah,
and then you'll have a week or two there that's a little bit sluggish. And then they'll hit it again. And then, like you said, then we got another 2 weeks. And usually by the mid-May, by the second week of May,
it's on.
I can leave spider rigging. If I'm spider rigging at that time, I can put the spider rigging poles up. I'm usually at 68 degrees, and I can whip out the crankbaits.
Yeah.
And then I can cover water instead of staying in one little spot.
I don't know what we're going to talk about spider rigging wise when we start talking crankbaits.
Uh-huh.
You're going to have to start like putting one on your outside
You
poles.
you've done some different things
I've
too.
done some different things. I mean, I've pushed. I haven't done it. I've gotten so good with rigging. I've come so confident with it. But I used to push crankbaits, and now I'm just like. But I still with live scope now. I can see how those fish are moving.
Yeah.
And reacting.
To my. I'm like, what's the deal? What's the hassle? Just put out what I know, and I
you
just
get
do
into
it.
start.
Yeah,
You
you
start
do
using
good.
hair jigs a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Right?
gotten
Didn't you
away-
start
I
using
used
some
those.
squirrel tail?
I used some squirrel tail.
Get that brown look.
Yeah.
You started catching them because
Yeah,
I bought
yeah.
some.
Yeah.
After you,
That's when
you
the
sketched them on
mayflies.
The
squirrel tail.
mayfly, when the
Yeah.
mayfly started, that's usually like in June. You know,
Yeah.
last year we didn't really have a mayfly.
No, it wasn't as
did-
good.
It
Wasn't
and
as good.
last year was weird. Last year's
But-
whole summer was just.
But on
weird.
that back to that post spawn bite on that crankbait,
Yeah.
and that first part there, I can push my crankbaits and stay in the fairly shallow water
Yep.
and catch them in some of that lull time, and then whenever they start getting a little more active after they've been off that spawn for a couple weeks, and they get back hungry again, and then I'll start, instead of pushing the crankbait, I'll start pulling it.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, you'll know you're in the right spot when you start catching a
Yeah.
billion catfish.
You know, the thing is on that bite, you can be fishing for 2 hours and haven't caught a fish. And then somebody can come back by you and, well, how's it going again now? Well, we've got 18.
Yeah, you pull over that perfect spot.
You find that one sweet spot.
Yep, and that
And,
one.
What
color.
what is the sweet spot? Tell us, what would be a sweet spot? Where have you done the best in post spawn?
Remember that year we had to pull. We had to come in from 20 feet and drag them over 14 feet. They get in the mud, and as soon as they pop back up over that hump, they'd
As we
snatch
come
them.
off- as
there
we
you
came off of the
Yeah.
island, there's a submerged hump of what he's talking
You
about.
had to hit it just right every time.
And it wasn't just right. You had to go the same way. You could not turn around. So the fish, what it was is there was a hump, and on the back side of the hump, as it started tapering off, the top of the hump was 14 foot of water, and as you come off that back side of that hump, there was a big log laying parallel of that hump. And I mean, the crappie were all over it. And as long as you come around here, and you had to be real careful because it's 12 feet deep
Right?
in the center. If you got off to the side, it's anywhere from 5 to 8 feet, and your bait's just cranking the bed. And you come around, and as you come off of that hump, and then it would if you had, we had as many as 6 poles go down. I mean,
Yeah.
we have 8 poles out, and we got
Right.
six going back at a time. And,
We were doing that with 2 boats one day. It was a big dead pull before you're making the circle.
But now how we
You come
found
back around
the
to hit
hole, and back to your question on how I found it, I was running the edge of the channel, and I was watching my structure scan and my side scan, and I seen the log with the fish on there. Well, I could automatically tell I cannot get over here and get the baits on the log. I had to go over that log.
Right.
And the first time I went over the log coming this way. And that's when I found the super shallow water. Oh, crap. So, and then as I'm trying to get out of the real super shallow, I found the little ditch. There's a little ditch. And I coming around. To tell you where this spot was, if the tree that used to be down here, it's no longer there, it's really messing me up. Not necessarily just running the lake so I don't hit that hump,
Right.
but
that shows you where to hit the
That's
spot.
right.
that tree was my landmark of how to hit that hump. So,
How about a sweet spot post spawn? Is it secondary point, or is it a point, or is it just something that
You mean for crankbaits?
no
Oh,
for just fishing?
so it's gonna be the main lake channel. all the way up the lake. I mean, next to the bluffs. Don't be afraid to be in 80 foot of water if it's got big trees on it.
Okay.
And I love it. I love it. You know,
but they could be a little deeper than what they are now.
They could be.
Are you staying away from brush piles?
Yeah, I'm not fishing brush piles. It's mostly
Thumbs down.
yeah, I'm all pole timber at that point.
Okay.
And it's a good time.
So you're
of year.
casting? Are you dipping?
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll find the tree and I'll pitch out through there with a split shot. Just let that bait fall right into them. And once it gets to that level, I'll start real slow and let them chase it out. Sometimes I'll have to get above a tree and drop it straight down, right into, like say there's 20 or 30 fish in there.
Okay.
I'll have to drop it straight down, let it go underneath them, then reel it up real fast. And when it comes up through them, they can't stand it. You got to hit it that way.
Nice.
And I'm the only person out there fishing. All the ski boats are around me, so all the music's playing. Everybody's having fun. I'm dancing, listening to that, and I'm just catching the crap out of them. You know, it's hot. You're wiping sweat, but you're the only one fishing out there.
Yeah. There you go.
So, fun.
How about you, Lance? Do you have a spot that you think it's like post spawn? They just got done in some area that has a ledge or that deep water?
Not really. I mean, they'll just kind of just stay on flats. I don't really ever. I mean, just basically follow the channel.
When you went down past Hickory, you got into deep water. That's the deepest when me and you went that time.
Yeah.
You fishing there for a while and you clean house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That was at 25 feet, right?
Yeah.
23, 25.
Yeah.
Right?
I haven't hit that area in a long. I hadn't been a month.
They're in different areas.
I went there last year.
Did you?
I went there last year.
But that spot you're talking about there wasn't as good last year.
Yeah,
period.
it hadn't been good in a couple years.
Yeah,
it has not been good.
I don't know what's happening.
Got to have color in it.
Yeah,
that may be.
Yeah.
Got to have color in it.
Yeah.
But do not be afraid of the mud.
But yeah,
that's good.
But yeah, I still mainly just target flats, and I mean I just kind of follow the scope actually here lately with them.
Everybody, you know, when they see logs coming down through here, they get, oh man, fishing's over. I'm like, oh, give me 3 days.
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm gonna be there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Once they get used to it and the sediment goes down, enough sediment, then they rise up.
Yep.
They rise up to the top.
Takes a couple 3 days.
Yep. So there you have it. That's the answers to what you're going to do during the post spawn, and maybe a little brief window to look into that summertime fishing, and we'll talk more about that. I'm just going to chase roamers. I'm a roamer guy. That's probably where I'm going to be during the post spawn. So
you've caught more crappie in the last 3 months than I've ever known of you catching, other than trolling.
Yeah, other than trolling. Trolling, I love trolling.
You can catch them same fish that we're catching with crankbaits too.
Yeah,
they just might be on the bottom, just a little bit above the bottom.
No, he's amazing to listen to him
hardcore.
Talk about that. Yeah,
I'm dialed in.
Yeah,
I've been going with some people, and I've been filming, and it's just like an education. I'm learning a little bit from everyone I'm going from. And I mean, I'm flying my drone over Hayden Jeffries, and I'm seeing everything, and so I'm seeing what they're doing, and yeah, I think what your boat has limits you to what you can do.
Right.
So if you don't have crappie breaks, that's different. If you're a tournament crappie angler, you have to have crappie breaks. If you're going to compete,
we have the paddles,
and you guys have the paddles, so it's you get that slow up type thing, and so that's the thing, you know, who knows? Lance may be putting crappie brakes on his boat to get it to go slower.
Stag on his motor.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I mean, what I've seen is more fish or tournament fishermen are fishing farther away. They're moving away from the bank, which opens the bank up, which is good because I think that's good because that gives. There's more room to fish.
Yes.
And so there's less likely to have conflicts or do that. But yeah, I'm whacking them pretty good. But I'm just.
Is it going to keep you off the bank?
Yeah.
See,
it'd be real hard for me to go to the bank.
How long has it been
since you
fished the spawn?
Huh?
How long has it been since you actually
I hate
fished
the spawn?
Now. I do too.
It's probably been 3 or 4 years since I threw anything at the bank.
I haven't done it.
I haven't.
I know where they're at.
For me,
I know where they're at. Nobody's fishing it, so I know there's fish that are spawning and making it. So I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
You do. There you go.
I haven't caught a male crappie. Caught a few, but during the spawn, not very.
Right.
I don't
Not
do
very
it.
many.
There you go. There you have it. We always like to tell people to keep it hardcore. But first, make sure you subscribe and like the channel. All the information for these guys, if you want to go fishing with one of them, the information, their Facebook page, the link will be there. Or you can just send us a message, and one of us, if we're not busy, we'll take you out crappie fishing. So you'll have a good time. And other than that, I'm going to tell y'all, make sure you keep it hardcore. Look at that. They're getting so good. Pretty soon, I'm going to have them sing it. Can you guys sing?
I don't know.
Keep it hardcore.